Morning, Ben. How are you doing?
Morning. Yeah, good, thanks. Good.
Good. Thanks for sending some slides through again. Interesting change in the weather. We get a bit more rain over in Cumbria. How's it with you in the east?
Yeah, well, it's raining now, but probably too little too late, but it is raining now, so that'll mix things up a bit, I think. And of course, as the first slide says, autumn is just around the corner, so that makes us think about other things that we haven't been thinking about so much so far. And as the next slide shows, the first thing anybody ever says to me when they meet me is, what's sheep dying of? And at the moment, I sort of hedge my bets and say, well, it depends. It depends where you live. As in, is there any worms? It depends on how much rain you've had. But the one thing that I say to everybody is that the main thing of this year, and we say it every month in this discussion, is Haemonchus carries on surprising people, catching people out. And it is probably the main reason at the moment for getting a sheep post-mortem because of Haemonchus. So the next slide shows a typical lamb that I saw the other day. It had actually been wormed 4 weeks ago with a clear drench. Here you can see the abdominal cavity. Here you can see on the sort of bottom left of that picture is the abomasum, full of dark coffee grounds, and the worm egg count, I can tell you, was 15,000 eggs per gram. So that tells you two things. One is there is plenty of Haemonchus about, probably on the pastures now as much as overwintering. And secondly, having wormed the lambs reasonably recently does not mean it can't be Haemonchus. So that's really been the story of the year for everybody, ewes and lambs. Keep looking for Haemonchus. And
so just keep doing those worm egg counts.
Yep. Really good proxy, and I think that's consistent across the country, wherever you are, it seems. The thing that is more localized probably is worms. I mean, Derbyshire, the northeast of England with us, we have had a dry summer, not much grass, but also not much worms. That will change now in the back end when the worms start to wake up and the grass starts to grow a bit, when the rain starts to fall. And then we're back to this. I know this is one of your favorite graphs, Matt, isn't it? This continuous reinfection syndrome. Briefly, what this graph shows is that the top green line is lambs without worms. The second green line is lambs with a small continuous dose of worms. So they have the best of all worlds, probably. They grow well and they become immune. So that's probably what you're intending to do for your replacement females. The next graph down is lambs that have reasonably high doses of worms and get wormed every 21 days. And the blue line at the bottom is lambs that have reasonably high doses of worms and don't get wormed. And the point here is that the difference in growth rates between the lambs who have high doses of worms and get wormed and the lambs that have high doses of worms and don't get wormed is not as big as you expect because of the continuous reinfection on these pastures when it gets to the back end. That's right, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah. And one thing to point out on this, that relatively high dose of worms wasn't enough to make those animals look ill. So these were clinically normal animals, and out in the field you'd think they're doing okay. The
next slide says, which makes you think, should these lambs be somewhere else? These poorer end lambs that haven't been sold yet on grass pastures, is grass pastures the best place to put them? I.e., should they be, and let's go in order here, top left, housed? Should they be housed and fed something without worms, wormed on housing and housed? Should they be sold as stores in the ring? Should they be put onto a herbal lay, which is likely to have been more recently ploughed out? Probably the worm burdens aren't as high, probably the nutritional value is better, all that sort of stuff. Or should they be put in a rotation with cattle to enable some cleaner grass grazing or some cleaner grazing of some sort? For each lamb you have on the farm, now is the time to consider, is it on the best place to maximise its potential? Now, the answer to that question is going to be probably different for different types of stock. So fat lambs, do they want to be on permanent grass pasture? Probably not. Replacement females, do they want to be on, not the cleanest pasture on the farm? Well, possibly yes, because they need to become immune to worms eventually for their careers as females. And then the third class of stock, of course, is bought-in replacement females. And the best thing for them, as we know, is
proper quarantine treatment and then turn out onto recently used pasture.
Yeah,
so that's following that strict protocol.
Those are the sorts of things that you want to be starting to think about those, and don't take any chances with the protocols with that. So that's worms, patchy, but even if you haven't got worms at the moment, even if it's been dry, that means that when the worms come, they'll come big because they have been waiting to this moment, and also the lambs haven't had the trickle challenge, so they may not be as immune, so they could easily drop off the end of the earth, and you don't want to find that out the hard way. The other thing this time of year, always, especially with a shortage of grass and animals being hungry, is these are cases from this week. The one on the left is a bullock out at grass, not much grass, got a belly full of acorns, and that's what killed it. And then the one on the right is a store lamb, came in, not much grass. Yew trees had been chucked over the fence, and they were hungry enough to eat the yew, and that's what did for them. So any any potential poisons are even more serious a threat when animals are hungry, when there's not much grass. And then the last thing, which hasn't quite got going yet, you would imagine, especially in the parts of the country we are, in the driest summer ever, that fluke would not be an issue. Bloke phoned me up the other day. He said, I've got some sheep with bottle jaw. It'll be Haemonchus, won't it? And I said, yes, it'll be Haemonchus probably. So he treated them, and one of them died, and this came in, and bugger me, it was fluke. So I said, what is going on here? He said, well, we've been dry, but this is an area with a marsh in it, and this is the old story of when it's dry, the sheep go to the wet bits because they're thirsty. That's where the snails were, that's where the fluke were. The marsh had never really dried up despite the dry summer, and so here we have a sheep which had died of fluke. What looks like actually chronic flukes. I had fluke for a while, and I thought it was Haemonchus. So there you go. You never quite know where you are, and it just shows the value of never waste a dead sheep.
Yeah, we can't assume anything this year, and I think that mantra of test, don't guess is really important.
The summary is, I think for today, each lamb you have, is it in the best place for it to grow? Which obviously depends on its job. Is it a fat lamb? Is it a replacement, homegrown replacement, or is it a bought-in replacement? And the way you will find out whether your lambs aren't doing is to weigh them more regularly. And then I suppose autumn is coming, so we do have to start to think about the autumn diseases, which we have forgotten about while we've been cutting silage. So that probably boils down to fluke.
I think autumn diseases this year will be worms, because we really haven't seen much through the summer. So that's don't forget about your worms. Keep doing your worm egg counts, and start thinking that you might need to check for fluke at some time in the near future.
Yep, I agree. I think there is a big worm burden coming down the tracks.
Very good. Fantastic as usual, Ben, and good to see those interesting little things that we don't normally see, like the poisonings. I mean, that's something to be aware of.
No, definitely. So we'll see you next month and see if we were right.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Cheers, Matt. See you later.
Bye.